Hey guys, welcome in. It is Brad with College SportsCast. I have John Roberts with me. We might have another guest, and it is championship week. College football playoffs just come out. This is the weekend wrap-up show.
We executed.
I heard a fan offer free Dippin' Dots if I blew it.
Wanted to have some fun, execute.
I had bombs.
Stay as a team, execute, give 100%.
Dippin' Dots sound good.
All right, guys, welcome back. It's Brad with College Sportscast. One of the biggest days of the year for college football, and there is not some controversy going on right now. So the college football rankings final just come out a couple hours ago, 2 or 3 hours ago. And I've got it up on the screen there. You got Michigan, Washington, Texas, and Alabama that are the 4 teams in. FSU, Georgia, and Ohio State are the next 3 out. John, what are your initial thoughts on all of that?
That's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. And Florida State, an unbeaten Power 5 team, should be in this mix and not a one-loss team. We've already seen this already happen. This team lost to a team that's already in the playoff, and they lost on their home field by double digits. Why do we need them in the field?
Well, I agree with that question. I do. But at the same time, there was, no matter how you do this, there were going to be teams that feel like they have a beef. There's only 4 spots. And to be quite honest with you, there's 7 teams that I feel like has a legit argument to be in.
No.
And that's why they went to a 12-team playoff.
No, the teams that have a legit argument, you're saying 7. No, there's not 7. There is at least 2 that you're talking about that do not have the legit beef, or that do not have a legit argument. So,
well, I disagree. I think there is. I think there's 3 other teams that have a legit beef to be in. Now, FSU may have the top legit beef, but put it this way. Georgia loses to what is now the 4th ranked team in the college football playoff as their only loss all season long. They drop from 1 to 6. If you're going to have a rankings for the last 7 weeks, then the rankings have to count for something, in my opinion. They dropped like Georgia lost to Kentucky.
yeah, with the exact same thing with Alabama jumping like they had won the Super Bowl. They were number 8 the entire time the college football playoff had put out a ranking. Number 8 did not rise no matter who they beat. They were beating teams left and right and did not rise above Florida State. Yet in the final ranking, they magically got ahead of Florida State, and that is BS. They should have been rising up and gotten ahead of Florida State at some point during the time.
But I'm pretty sure me and you both sat here last week on this same show, weekend wrap-up show, a week ago, and we both said if Alabama beats Georgia, they get in.
Yeah,
We did.
we
both
said they would. We didn't necessarily. I didn't necessarily agree that that was the right thing. I just said they would. Didn't think it was right.
I mean, the SEC has clearly been the class of the college football championships.
This is supposed to be from year in and year out. And this year they weren't. It's not a what did they do last year?
That.
It's not what they did last year. It's not what they did the year before. It's what they did this year.
They are not going to leave the SEC out. I didn't think they would, to be honest.
Oh, boo-hoo. I mean, this is coming from an SEC homer, and I'm sitting here telling you that this is BS, that the SEC was in it to begin with. That's not the way that this is supposed to happen.
I just don't think that they were going to leave the SEC out.
The SEC didn't deserve to be in. Plain and simple.
I mean, to me, you can make an argument that Georgia shouldn't drop 6 spots by losing to at the time the 8th ranked, now the 4th ranked team in the college football playoff.
Again, and the team that was ranked 8th jumped to 4, doing the exact same thing. I also didn't think that should happen, but it did.
If you're going to have rankings for 6-7 weeks, then those rankings have to matter.
You know, Brad, I get the feeling that we're saying the exact same thing. We're just talking about 2 different teams.
I'm telling you that I knew if Alabama beat Georgia that they were going to jump into the 4th spot. I knew that 2 weeks.
No, I knew it too. I said I knew it too. I didn't agree with it, but I knew it.
I said it 2 weeks ago.
Okay, whatever. I just told you I agreed with it. I didn't like it, but I agreed.
I mean, I didn't think 2 weeks ago that if that happened, that the SEC was going to be left out, and I didn't think yesterday.
You just said that for the 5th time. It's the same thing. By the way, look at this grumpy tree that I got.
When it did happen, yesterday, I didn't think that they would be left out either, is what I'm saying.
You're saying the exact same thing for the 10th time in a row.
Matter of fact, Lauren Hayes is on here with us in the chat, and she will tell you this morning I had the exact 4 teams. I told her the 4 teams that were going to make it.
No, I know the 4 teams that were going to make it. Again, I just said I don't agree. That's plain and simple. There's a difference. There's a team. There's the 4 teams that I think should be a part of it versus the things that actually happened and the ones that I agree or disagree.
Okay,
that's it.
But I'm not doing that. I'm trying to put it what I think is actually going to happen and go with that. Is what. And
you said it like 10 times in a row, and we know it. I heard.
I'm not trying to put in what my opinion would be. Is what I'm saying. I mean, Robert Rhodes says the SEC is a better conference. I mean, overall, the SEC is a better conference than the ACC. I don't think you can argue that.
Yeah, well, they've been the better conference over the ACC several years, and yet Clemson got in.
I do, however, think that
throwing
FSU
that one out there
has a legit beef. Like, they're undefeated.
I don't think you get what I'm saying.
2 weeks ago, they played a game against one of their rivals in the swamp with a backup quarterback and won. Last night, they played in the ACC championship game against Louisville with their 3rd-string quarterback because their 2nd-string quarterback was out with concussion protocol and won. And you know, I can sit here and tell you that they actually have a beef and that I hate it.
And there are people out there that are saying that they're not good because they don't have their quarterback, their starting quarterback. and that they wouldn't win a national championship with their third string quarterback or their second string quarterback. And I keep pointing to 2014 Ohio State, who did it with their third team quarterback, Cardell Jones. And, oh, by the way, beat Bama doing it too, which was kind of a fun fact. No, he didn't beat Bama. Oklahoma beat Bama that year. Never mind. Oklahoma beat Bama because Bama still wasn't good. Either way. But
yeah, I mean, that was. I mean, listen. I'm not saying that Josh says it's not fair. I didn't say there was anything fair about any of this, and I mean, to be honest with you, in my opinion, if Georgia beats Bama last night, I think it's a whole. I think Texas is the one.
Then you're looking at between FSU and Texas.
I think
if
Texas,
that's the case.
I think FSU is in and Texas is out. If Georgia beats Bama,
undefeated versus team that lost to 2-loss or 3-loss Oklahoma. I don't know what they ended up being, but they had multiple losses after they beat Texas.
Yep, they did. I mean, no matter how you turn this, Josh and Lauren and Robert and whoever else is on here with us, somebody is going to think that it's not fair.
Well, of course.
There was only 4 spots.
Hey, you know what the 4 teams were?
Teams that could have an argument.
Do you know what the 4 teams were that if they would have been the BCS? If this would have been done by the BCS standards, who the 4 teams would have been?
No, I don't keep up with the old BCS rankings.
Yeah. So nobody puts it out except for right there at the very end. So at it went Michigan, and then it went Washington, and then it went Texas, Florida State. If we had just used the BCS computer, whatever, that's what you get. And I think it's over for the majority. It's either every year or a pretty good portion of the year. It either predicts all 4 teams or it's one off and it's an outlier like TCU or something like that. Like it wouldn't have put TCU in, but it would have put somebody else in. And of course, TCU didn't belong, so that's okay.
Right. Well, I mean, so they are putting in a higher ranked conference champion over FSU. That's what they're doing.
No, they jumped a team over FSU. They weren't higher ranked to begin with. They weren't higher ranked all season. They jumped them after the
conference is higher ranked. I'm saying their conference is higher ranked than
the conference is higher ranked.
FSU's conference.
I didn't know we were ranking conferences right here. Were we ranking conferences? Is it that we play our 14 against your 14 against their 14? Is that what it is?
I'm saying that's what I think they did.
That's how we do this now. We put 14 against 14 against 14. We're doing basketball now. This is basketball.
I think they put the higher ranked conference team in.
You know, if it were basketball, they're even. It's 7 and 7. Just throwing that out there.
Okay. I mean, I'm not saying that I think any of this is fair. I think FSU should be livid. I really do. I also think that Georgia should be livid.
Now, Georgia lost their conference championship. Sorry, you didn't win it.
Number 1 all year long.
Except for the few weeks that Ohio State was number 1.
That was.
By the way,
I'm talking about.
By the way, Ohio State
in the national.
Ohio State never didn't lose a game when they lost their number 1 ranking. by the way. They lost their number one ranking because some team played somebody better or something like that. Who knows?
Ohio State. If you want to talk about, we're nobody's even talking about Ohio State. And the truth is that Ohio State lost one game in Ann Arbor by less than a touchdown
to a team that wasn't even coached by their head coach. You're right. They lost to the backup coach. They lost to the backup coach. They lost to a backup coach. A backup coach.
So you tell me that they don't have a beef. I mean, they lost by less than a touchdown.
Yeah, but they didn't even play in their conference championship because they're not good enough to play in their conference championship. They're not good enough. They lost.
We're
talking about a team that lost versus a team that didn't lose. A team that lost versus a team that didn't lose. By the way, the team that got that we're talking about the SEC being this great conference. Well, guess what? Florida State beat 2 SEC teams this year. 2 of them. Once at the beginning of the year and once at the end of the year. 2 teams. Now what? Speechless.
Yes, they did.
Well, they beat 2 teams and they weren't named Vanderbilt.
I just sat here and told you that FSU has a legit beef. I just think that the committee had a very tough decision to make.
No, they didn't. This was easy. This was an easy decision.
So here's the deal, John. I have watched Florida State with my own eyes the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I've watched both games.
Cool.
The last 2 weeks.
What'd you see? You saw a dominant defense out there, didn't you?
Dominant defense.
Dominant
but I
defense.
do not think that this offense can hang with these other 4 or 5 teams that we're talking
Who
about.
gives a flying crap about a having an offense if the other team can't score against you?
I'm just telling you, I don't think they can keep up with them.
If the other team can't score against you, you don't have to have the best offense. You just have to have one that has enough points. That's it. And what's weird is that your defense can create that offense too because they're so good. But they just allowed a team that was averaging 430-something 8 yards a game. What was it? 33 points a game, 9 yards or 6 yards or something like that per play. I mean, it's unbelievable that they held them to 6 points total, 120-something, 130 yards in the game, and 2.7 yards per play. 1/3 the production.
You're talking about
you don't need to have a big offense. You don't need to have a big offense. You don't need a big offense to win. If you've got a defense that's that good.
I disagree.
Oh, Washington Penix has a propensity to throw it to the other team. So I bet you they could force a turnover against Michael Penix.
I mean, these teams have better offenses than this Florida State team does now.
But that defense can still hang with them. Let them blow them out. Let them blow them out and prove us wrong. But they don't. They didn't.
Florida. They hung with Louisville and Florida without their quarterback. But I think that's a little bit taller task to hang with Michigan and Washington and either Texas or Alabama or Georgia or
Alabama had a tough time scoring against a 6-6 team with their starting quarterback, by the way. A 6-6 team.
Yes,
throwing that out there.
Team.
Yeah.
Auburn.
Well, again, a 6-6 team. Bama had a hard time scoring against that one. Georgia had a hard time scoring against that one. Do you think that they would have a hard time scoring against Florida State? Hell yes, they would. Just throwing it out there.
Their defense is
keep going.
good. I'm not saying their defense isn't good. That's not what I said. I said I do
You're
not
saying
think
that the defense
that
is
this
not good enough to be in
offense
the
could keep up
in the
with these other teams is what I'm saying.
if the other team ain't scoring, you don't need the offense. Again, you're proving my point here. You are proving
we're not
it.
talking about Louisville here, John.
Oh, we're talking about Bama and Georgia. Who you were talking? We're talking about Bama. We're talking about Bama. I mean, honestly, that's it. We should just be talking about Bama, and that's exactly what we're talking about. Bama had a tough time against a 6-6 Auburn team with their starting quarterback. Okay. They wouldn't have. I mean, now what you're telling me is that they're going to magically be scoring all these points against Florida State to where Florida State's offense was now, oh my God, they're so bad with a third team quarterback. I mean, that's what you're saying. You're saying that they're going to score so much on this great defense that you've named as a good defense and a great defense. And you're saying that the scoring by this offense is going to outscore and is going to just absolutely clobber whatever Florida State could muster up.
Is Florida State's defense that much better than Georgia's defense?
Yeah, they're better than Georgia's defense.
You really think they are that much better than Georgia's defense?
I think they're better than Georgia's defense.
Because Alabama just put up 27 on Georgia yesterday, and Florida State these past 2 weeks has struggled to put up 20 on offense. Yesterday they had 16.
Yeah, they put up 27 against Auburn too, but they threw 6 of them with 0 seconds left to go.
I'm sorry. You can have your opinion, but on my opinion, if they can't score 25 or
so now your opinion's better than my opinion.
They are not going to win.
Your opinion means more than mine. I get it. That's what happened.
I'm telling you, my opinion matters to me more important. That's what I'm telling you. You can have yours, but if they're going to score 16 points, they're not winning in the college football playoff.
Really? I bet you they can hold somebody under 16 points.
No.
They just held a top 10 team under 16 points.
I don't think they can.
But they did.
I really don't think they can.
I'm saying that they did.
Not these teams. That's exactly what I just said. Not
they
these
beat
teams.
this. They okay. So then, what did they do to LSU? LSU put up 700 yards
like
against
48. They put up like 48 freaking points. That's what they did to LSU.
Still beat them.
I mean, and this was they can't
great
do that,
SEC.
Right? There's no way.
The great SEC.
They put up 48 or something like that, 50 freaking points against LSU.
Did they?
Yeah. Okay, let's get to our college football scoreboard, which we always do, because what we're talking about here matters in actually what happened. There was 10 championship playoff games that happened.
Hold on.
Over the weekend.
You said that LSU scored 40-something points on Florida State?
No, FSU scored 48.
I was talking about FSU's defense against LSU.
And I'm saying they had to put up like over 30 points to win that game because FSU scored like 28 or 30 or something.
They scored 24. They scored less than what Bama did and less than what Georgia did.
I mean,
less.
They still had to put up a lot of points to win that game.
Less.
And that was the very first game of the season.
Less. Good defense.
That was a long time ago.
Less points. Oh yeah. Just saying.
Same thing with the Texas and Bama game. It was the second game of the season. It was a long time ago. A lot has changed. Bama's completely changed, I think, since then. Since the Texas Bama game. Matter of fact, we might find that out in January, because if they win, they're going to match up in the championship game. And actually, I think that'll be a really fun game for the national championship, a rematch, and see exactly the Texas Bama would be a fun rematch, if you ask me.
And when Texas wins again, what do we say then?
Then you tip your hat to Texas.
And then we'll just sit there and go, well, man, if Bama shouldn't have been there. Bama shouldn't have been there.
Here's where it gets interesting, John. Here's where it gets interesting, if you ask me.
If
Florida
Michigan
State
blows
goes
out
to the
Bama.
Orange Bowl. Florida State goes to the Orange Bowl and beats Georgia somehow. Then you get a very
quarterback.
Interesting conversation.
With a backup quarterback.
Huh? And with a backup quarterback. If that were to happen, then Florida State has the ultimate beef against College Football Playoff Committee, against college football, against NCAA. I don't give
against
a crap
the
who
ACC.
it is. Yeah, they have
For
the
not
ultimate
being
beef
good,
with that.
according to you. Florida State will leave the ACC, happens, and this is the final. This is the final straw right here. So,
Josh is saying that I think that
somebody will play a ACC team.
The Kentucky is.
Oh, they're playing an ACC.
Actually, he's saying Kentucky is Gator Bowl bound, and that they will be playing the ACC school, possibly Clemson. I've already heard that this morning, but I didn't know if it would be true. So this is what Josh says. They have the ultimate beef right there, honestly.
Who has the ultimate beef?
That's where all of this comes in, if you ask me, is they, them having to go to the backup, not looking that great. If they were somehow to beat Georgia, then I mean, hell, you got to line them up and play another week, don't you? I mean, honestly. That's all I got to say when it comes to that.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, what I am thankful about today, despite all of this mess, is that next year we're going to have a 12-team playoff.
Yeah, and we'll have this argument between 12 and 13 and 14. Yeah, we will.
I won't have this. I mean, I might talk about it some on here, but I won't be passionate about it. I don't care if we're talking about 11, 12, and 13.
So we're talking about we will be as really dispassionate as possible. We will not love college football.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you right now, John. If we were sitting here today and we're talking about Penn State, Ole Miss, LSU, and Oklahoma, I could care less.
Well, then why do you do this if you care less?
I could care less who gets in at 11 or 12. I could care less. I'm serious. If we're talking about whether it's Ole Miss or Missouri or Penn State or LSU or, that gets in that last spot or two, I don't care. I really don't care. Let one of them in that last spot and let's go play. I don't care.
You think a 12 team will ever beat a 1?
It doesn't matter. What I'm saying.
What do you mean it doesn't matter? It does.
The reason
On the
why
re-
it doesn't matter,
I'm asking a
John,
question.
is because I know, and I'll answer, but I want to finish my thought. The reason why it doesn't matter is because we are not talking about one-loss teams. We're not talking about conference championships. We're not champions. We're not talking about undefeated teams. When you go down to the 11, 12, 13 spot, we're going to be talking about 2 or 3 loss teams in a conference that didn't even get close to their conference championship and stuff. And it really don't matter.
Yeah, it does. It matters to the kids.
It doesn't matter to the fans
Yeah, it does.
other than your team. That's it.
Oh. You mean you wouldn't be fighting like hell for your team to get in if they had 2 losses and you thought they should be in the college football playoff?
I said it matters to your team.
Yeah, and
It matters to your team. Overall, it will not matter in the grand landscape of college football. It just won't. Now, do I think a 1 would ever beat a 12? A 1's not going to play a 12.
no.
A 1 gets
All right.
a 1
Sorry.
gets a
Sorry.
bye,
Right.
and a
Okay. So
12
the
plays a
12.
five.
Okay. So do you
Plays a
think the
five.
12-5? Do you think the 12-5 matchup will ever be an upset? Sorry.
I mean, never ever is a long time. I mean,
Okay. In the first 5 years.
Cincinnati a few years ago in that spot
Could they
would
could
have
they have
probably
beaten? Could they have been a 12 spot beating a 5?
could have probably gave a 5 spot a chance in the game. More than likely, that was a really good team, and now they're in a Power 5 conference now. Now that we have taken of the best teams and added them to conferences over the last 3 or 4 years, I think it's a whole lot less likely. Now, like, let's take SMU this year. SMU, a really team, good, great offense, just beat Tulane by 12. Tulane is coming off of 2 solid years, and SMU's a great team. And if you put them in this year, maybe SMU gives the 5 team a game. But guess what? SMU's going to the ACC, so they won't be there.
What do you mean they won't be there?
Because that 12 spot goes to the best group of 5 team.
Oh yeah, that's right. They wouldn't be the best group of 5 team. They would be the 11.
It goes 11,
Maybe.
and then the 12th
Maybe.
spot goes to the best group of 5 team. And
Do you
because
think
we
they
keep
do you think
taking,
do you think that they give that away? I thought they went away from that. I thought they went away from
No.
the best group of 5 being the 12 spot.
no, it's still listed as that right now, yeah. But what I'm saying is they keep taking the best group of 5 teams and adding them to the power conferences.
They need to
So
just split off and let the group of 5 have their own championship.
yeah, so we're kind of lessening the field for the group of 5 teams, if you ask me a little bit.
Oh, now you're talking down to the group of 5.
I think that we have been for the last 3 or 4 years. We've been taking some of their best. Houston, and we've been taking some of the best group of 5 teams. Utah used to be one, and bumping them into the power conferences. So, I don't know when it comes to that. But I think that some of these teams over the last 3 or 4 years would have had a shot. TCU used to be a group of 5 team.
The NCAA does not list a group of 5 on their website. I think they did change that.
Fiesta Bowl. They're playing
That's
Oregon
today. But I'm
Yes.
talking about the group of 5 is not going to be a part of the 12 unless they crack the top 12.
I don't believe that. I'm pretty sure it's still set up as the group of 5. I'll have to look it up, but I'm pretty sure it is.
Because they've got Oklahoma would be playing number 5 Florida State. They have number 11 Ole Miss versus number 6 Georgia, and number 10 Penn State versus number 7 Ohio State, number 9 Missouri versus number 8 Oregon. I did not see or hear a Liberty
right,
or SMU or
I'll have to
anything
look
like
at
that.
it. I said that.
Yeah, I'm just telling you. That's the NCAA website, by the way. NCAA.
Okay. NCAA actually doesn't
No, they don't. You're right. They're not.
have anything to do with the college football playoff, by the way.
Will include
But-
6 of the highest ranked conference champions, which will receive automatic bids. The top 4 teams will receive first round bye, and the quarterfinals, the 6 highest ranked teams remaining.
Let me run through the scoreboard here, and then we're going to have another guest on. Let me run through the scoreboard here, and we're going to have another guest on. All right, the college football scoreboard for the championship week. Conference USA, Liberty beat New Mexico State 49-35. And on Friday, Washington beat Oregon 34-31. Pac-12 championship. Big 12 was Texas 49, Oklahoma State 21. Miami, Ohio 23, Toledo 14 in the MAC championship. Mountain West was Boise State 44, UNLV 20. Alabama beat Georgia 27-24 in the SEC. The AAC SMU beat Tulane 26-14. Sunbelt Troy 49, Appalachian State 23. Michigan beat Iowa 26-0 in the Big Ten, and ACC Florida State beat Louisville 16-6. And that was the college football scoreboard for the championship week. All right, so we've got another guest that's going to be coming on here, guys. Her name, diehard FSU fan, diehard. So I'm going to let her come on and have a little bit of a peace talk with the committee and even myself, NCAA.
Hi, guys.
What's up?
What's up, Jen?
How are you?
I'm
Can you hear me?
fantastic, but Brad is ornery.
Yeah. Why ornery?
Because he
I'm
doesn't know
always
how to. He
I'm
doesn't
always
know how to. He doesn't know how to argue with me.
Huh? I'm always.
Well, it could be worse.
I'm always ornery. So, Jen, introduce
You could be
yourself. Tell whatever you want to about your Florida State fan.
Well, hi, guys. I'm Jennifer, and some people may know me from Twitter, maybe not. I don't know. If you do know me, you probably don't like me, and that's cool. I'm fine with that. I'm here for that. But I'm a Florida State fan. I live in Memphis. This has been kind of a shitty day. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I probably shouldn't say that. I don't really know the rules, but this has been a bad day.
We don't know the rules either, so that's okay.
Hasn't been the best of days.
Just don't drop an F-bomb and we'll be fine.
Oh, that's my favorite word.
Florida
Okay.
State? Oh, or just Florida. That could be it. That's the F-bomb.
Mm-hmm. If you're going to do it, go for the gold. So if you're not going to let me go for the gold, then I guess I'll just speak it.
Brad doesn't understand what it's like to have an undefeated team left out of the championship. He is unfamiliar with this.
Well, as a Kentucky fan, the playoffs are kind of a mystery to you anyway. So I
Correct.
don't think that you would get how that feels. But it's absolutely, I mean, it's corrupt. There is no excuse for it. I don't care what anybody says. I'm sorry. I really don't. Last week they beat Florida, a terrible SEC team. I will give you that. Who beat Tennessee, by the way, their brains in, and Tennessee's still ranked. So again, if somebody wants to continue with this talk, I don't want to hear it anymore. I don't want to hear it. This is corrupt. And so but they put Florida State, they moved them from 5 to 4 last week when they barely beat Florida. All this week we were told, you're not going to beat Louisville, so it really doesn't matter. But if you win, you're in. They beat Louisville. Their defense played lights out. They haven't allowed a touchdown technically really in 2 games because the one they allowed at Florida was given to them by the refs. So again, we can continue down this road. Last I checked, defense wins championships, or at least that's what we've been told. But now they've changed the rules.
But offense is too sexy, so sorry.
In 2013, Florida State didn't deserve to be there because they didn't have any adversity. In 2014, when they had adversity, they invented game control. This year, here you go. You go undefeated. Other teams lose. They get rewarded for losing. End of story. You can't change my mind on that. I mean, you really can't. Schedules are comparable. You want to punish a team for their player getting hurt?
Yeah.
But you allow a team to cheat all year? Next.
Look, 2014 is the prime example too. I mean, look, 2014, you had Ohio State with Cardale Jones.
With one loss.
Ohio State,
they weren't even
Cardale
undefeated.
Jones, third team quarterback. Third. 3. Mm-hmm. Florida State at this point has won with their third team, but would actually be playing with their second team because he would be out of protocol at this point. So they'd be playing with their second team, not their third team.
And again, if it was the best teams argument, why is Florida State ranked ahead of Georgia?
Alabama beat a lesser team with a third team quarterback too, and really, really struggled. Yet they got into the playoffs. I mean, they had to struggle against USF with the third team quarterback. The adversity of Alabama, but we don't have to worry about that.
That was a gritty win.
I think it was just the elements. They were playing in Tampa, and they contracted some disease while breathing the air.
But playing a team in the rain that's ranked in the top 15, you should have won by more, but you covered. Had more yards than Michigan did
FSU
with their starting quarterback.
In the world. Honestly, they do. There's no other team. There's no other team in the last 10 years under the college football playoff, that has the beef that FSU does this year. I mean, no undefeated.
You sit there and talk about Bama being in and should be in.
Conference champion has been left out.
Well, I mean, I guess maybe we should have struggled with that G5 team that took our quarterback out, or, like Alabama did against theirs, or like Auburn did. And then Alabama had to, have a Hail Mary to beat Auburn, who paid $2 million to, have a team come in and beat their ass. I get it. That's fine.
That's right.
Cool.
That's right. All right. 6-6 Auburn had, that Alabama struggled with 6-6 Auburn, who
needed a Hail Mary on 4th and 21,
who lost to
4th and 31
Mexico State the week before and got their brains beat in by 3 touchdowns. 3 touchdowns. They were 3 touchdown favorites and lost by 3 touchdowns.
And wait, was Alabama's starting quarterback playing when they were struggling? I'm just asking.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Were they? Okay.
I recall the starting quarterback playing.
Was Michigan starting quarterback playing when they struggled?
Well, Michigan, I don't think has ever had to play without their starting quarterback. So yeah.
Okay. Let's see.
However,
Did Texas miss their starting quarterback? Yes, they did. And guess what? They're still in.
Oh,
And they almost lost to Houston and lost to a suck-ass Oklahoma team.
they did. Who had 2 losses, right? 2 or 3?
Was Texas's starting quarterback playing when they lost to Oklahoma?
I believe so.
Yes, they were. I'm going to keep continuing down this road because this was the most crooked thing in the world. The conversation was between Alabama and Texas, and it's the end of the story.
Be in over Texas and not them.
I thought Alabama would get in over Texas. I absolutely did.
Texas and not Bama.
Well, I thought Florida State should be 3.
After they beat Georgia,
Hey,
I thought that
the
would be enough
BCS
for
had Florida
Alabama to
State
jump.
or had Florida State up there.
Yes.
Yep.
If you ask me, Florida State should have been 3 and Bama 4 and Texas out.
I agree. Well, I don't know if I agree. I thought that's what they were going to do.
I would have put Texas in and left Bama out.
Yeah. I mean, Texas and Alabama should have beaten the teams they should have beaten. Alabama got Texas at home and got blown out. And I don't care what anybody says, 10 points at Tuscaloosa is a blowout.
Yeah, it is. Against Nick Saban, that's a blowout.
That's a blowout. And Texas lost to Oklahoma. I'm sorry. These aren't close, and you're rewarding teams for losing at the end of the day.
Oklahoma.
This is just sad, and honestly,
there is really
don't even play the games.
No other great argument.
Yeah, we should just simulate them.
We
should just simulate them.
I mean, they deserve to be in.
Yeah, and but they didn't get in because, well, one, the ACC is dead. Thank God. I think this put that final death nail in there for me.
Was this the final nail in the coffin that puts Florida State in the Big Ten? Is that what happened? Is that what this is?
I mean, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see that announcement come soon. I really wouldn't.
Now, are you dead set on Florida State to the Big Ten?
I think that's where it is
Actually,
ending up. Yeah.
And I said, Florida State, if they get left out, they will leave the next day. That's what I told them.
Well,
they'll
then
leave the ACC the next day.
Monday should be the announcement, right?
Who knows?
That announcement
but
Monday.
I think you could tell the different networks with their tweets today if that tells you anything. Like, look what Fox tweeted today. Look what ESPN was tweeting today. That gives you everything you need to know.
So ESPN was everything was right, and Fox said they left out Florida State.
Absolutely.
So
I think that tells you everything you need to know.
That definitely says that Florida State to the Big Ten.
I mean, I don't know that that's exactly what it says, but it seems to me that one network values
TV contract.
Yep. And I mean, look at what Fox has been tweeting all year. They've been tweeting about Florida State's ratings. I mean, they tell you in recruiting to follow the visits.
Yeah.
There you go. So I don't know. I just think it's wrong. And I think they really screwed over kids.
I agree with you.
I mean, you shouldn't have to have your starting quarterback tweet out, I should have broke my leg earlier in the season.
Yeah. I think that's
bad. That's bad.
Yeah, that was pretty sad.
I can't imagine being that kid today. I mean, I feel for him, and I feel for the coach, and I feel for the whole team. It's just, it's wrong because I thought winning with a third string quarterback in a game you weren't supposed to win anyway, and covering by a long shot should be rewarded, but it's not. So Texas at 7 jumps 4 spots for beating a lower ranked team than Florida State beat last night.
A 3-loss team, right? 3-loss, right? Isn't that what they were? 3-loss.
Way lower ranked team. And all week it was, well, Florida State can't beat Louisville. But anyway, their offense is too good. Well, Florida State's defense shut that shit down.
Jim, do you know why? You know why they jumped?
Money, corruption.
I think Texas jumped solely because they were going to put Bama in at 4, and because Texas beat Bama, they kept them ahead of Bama, and that's how Texas got 3.
Well, of course.
That's what I think.
Well,
they should have done that last week or the week before, or the week before that, or the week before that, when they were just hanging out with 7 and 8, 7 and 8, 7 and 8, 7 and 8, and then all of a sudden, at the very end, it's like, oh my God, we got to move them all.
So Florida State's the only team that won their game and dropped.
Texas did not deserve.
Actually, no. Ohio State won their games and dropped out of first place.
But they lost to Michigan, right? And then they didn't play this weekend.
Yes. Yeah, later they dropped because they lost up. But when they initially dropped.
Well, true, but I mean, to just take them out of they were 3 last. They dropped 2 spots and they didn't lose a game. Ohio State lost a game, and I just, again, it's so corrupt. It's so gross. It's disgusting. The sport's dead. There's really no reason to play the games anymore. Let Vegas pick them. Screw it.
Yeah, we don't play games anymore. We don't need to.
No reason to.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even go to the bowl game. If I were Florida State, I'd tell the Orange Bowl to shove it up their ass because there'd be no reason to play it.
No, Vegas already picked it. We don't need to show up.
Yeah. What's the point? I mean, Washington should.
And they
why is Washington in? They weren't supposed to beat Oregon. They were favored by. It's just stupid. So. I mean, it's just corrupt. I mean, I don't. There's no words for it, honestly.
I'm fighting this hard for Florida State, and Florida State kicked me out of a baseball game. Like, that's what's bad.
I agree with you. It is corrupt. It's money led.
Yep.
It's money led and everything else. And I agree with you 100% on all that.
Well, I mean, and they lied.
On and saying these.
They were inconsistent and they were lying.
Well, yeah, and they were lying because they claim it's the Jordan Travis injury. Well, ESPN was hounding for Florida State not to be in the playoff that Saturday morning, the day Jordan got hurt. This was started before Jordan got hurt. They're lying to you. They're not lying to me because I saw it. I know what they're doing. They're lying to everybody else. This is not the reason they were dropped. So I mean, again, miss me with all those arguments. I don't want to hear it because last I checked, you win a game on the road against a rival at the Swamp at 7:00 at night with 100,000 people there, and you pull out the win. You don't just win, you cover, and you win by more than Alabama beat sorry-ass Auburn, more than Georgia beat sorry-ass Georgia Tech.
Again.
And more than Washington beat sorry-ass Washington State. But yet you're the one criticized when Washington State, Auburn, and Florida have the same damn records, if not worse. So again, I don't want to hear it. You're all lying to yourselves if you don't think this is true. This was a screw job, and there's just no other words for it. Because, I mean, these are just facts. That is the truth. Everything I just said is the truth. So. And then you had them move up to 3 after they beat that sorry Florida.
So
thank you.
You have legit beef.
Yeah, we do.
You have every right to be upset, livid, mad, all every right.
I just hope that Florida State gets out of the dang ACC because it is the worst. And they did no lobbying, and yet they're all tweeting today. Oh, look at our team got left out. Well, where the hell were you, Jim Phillips, last night? Because Greg Sankey was sleeping in the bed next to God knows who. Probably Boo. Just the truth.
Look, what I don't understand is the ACC. I mean, like, look, Florida State wasn't that great, a few years ago, okay? But the ACC also was just as bad.
Well, Florida State made the ACC. Clemson didn't. Let's be real.
Well, but you're about to make my point right here
Okay.
because Clemson kept getting in undefeated from the ACC,
Mhm.
and yet Florida State didn't.
And 1 year Clemson got in with a loss to Pitt, if I'm not incorrect.
Oh yeah, Pitt.
Uh-huh. Isn't that weird how that works out?
Yeah, it's weird.
Again. But hey,
Yeah.
games don't matter. None of it matters.
Yep, absolutely.
Jen, where can they find you? Where can all
Well, you
these
can
people
find me
find
on
you?
Well,
Twitter.
Jen, I appreciate it. Yep.
Where can they find you? Twitter and what's the
Twitter
handle?
and the Renegade Report podcast.
There you go.
Okay,
Cool.
guys. Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it. Thanks for letting me rant.
Jim,
Yes.
we appreciate you being on with us. Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks,
we
guys.
appreciate it, Jen.
Thank you. Y'all have a good day.
All right.
All right, thanks.
Bye.
Bye. All right, that was cool. I'm glad that Jen got to be on. Jen Santi, I think 1980 is her Twitter handle. If you want to follow her on Twitter, she is a really fun follow. She likes to be sarcastic and kind of troll some people a little bit. She lives in Memphis. She is a big Memphis Tiger fan as well, and a FSU fan, and actually kind of tied to the program and knows a lot of inside info. And Jen's a good one. She is part of the Fanboys to Fangirls, and she is a huge Florida State fan. So John helped kind of set this up where she could come on and rant and rave and let go of some of her, because I knew she was going to be livid today. So yeah, they've been talking in the group chat all day. So I'm glad she got to come on. And John, I appreciate you setting that up. So she got to come on and rant a little bit for you guys about Florida State's, I don't know, being left out. And I mean, I knew it was probably going to happen. Texas in over Alabama just because they had beat Alabama early in the year. Texas did not deserve to jump 4 spots. If you ask
Texas,
me,
I had Texas in and
the
Florida
real
State in.
here is how Texas jumped 4 spots. Bama beat Georgia, the number 1 team, to jump 4 spots. But how did Texas jump 4 spots?
What it should have been was this. This is the way that I would have. This is the way I would have had it. I would have gone Michigan number 1, Washington 2. Let me get it where my hands are clear. Washington 2, Texas. No, sorry. Florida State 3, Texas 4, Bama 5, Georgia 6. Wherever this is, Georgia 6, right? Then you can have your Oregons and your other teams or whatever can fall right there. But I would have gone that way because then you can justify every position. You can say, well, Texas is a 1-loss. They're a champion. They at least won their championship, right? So they're 1 loss and they're number 4. And the reason why they're number 4 is because they beat Bama, who is a 1-loss champion as well. So Bama's number 5. Georgia is a 1-loss team that did not win their championship. Ohio State's a 1-loss team that did not win their championship. Oregon is a 1-loss team that did not win their championship. They're the following 3.
I would have, if it was me, I would have kept it exactly what you just said, except I would have switched Texas and Alabama.
Well,
I would
but I'm just saying
over Bama beating Georgia than Texas beating Bama.
Well, I would have the only reason why is if they kept talking about head to head, that was the whole point of doing that. So that's the reason why it's in that order. Yes, no other number one team was defeated this year. There was only two of them that were ranked number one all season, and that was Georgia and Ohio State. Ohio State lost their number one ranking without losing. Georgia lost their number one ranking. Huh?
By the way,
What?
You're talking about college football playoff.
Correct. Well, I mean, I could be talking about any of them.
Rankings.
Doesn't matter. The only way that the only number one ranked team that was beaten was Georgia, and it was Alabama beating them in the SEC championship game. There wasn't another number one team that was beaten while they were number one. So,
yeah, I got you. Yeah, you're right. Well, so we did the scoreboard. We've talked most of the show about the college football playoff rankings and stuff like that. We've had Jen on with us as a guest with the FSU beef that she had, and she's completely right. I do think it's corrupt. Like I said, I actually think that Texas is the one that shouldn't be there and that FSU should be 3. That's the way I would, if you really get down to it. I mean, to me, they are in the 3rd position with the undefeateds. Washington has played a little tougher schedule than FSU has. So I would put them 3 and Bama 4, and I would have had Texas out. But I think that the committee, to be honest with you, I think the committee was too afraid to leave Texas and Alabama out. 2 of the biggest fan bases in college football. And I think that the committee was afraid to leave them 2 mainstay, to be honest.
I'm going through and reading all these comments that have been left in the chat here.
Comments?
All the comments that were left in the chat.
Yeah, Lauren and Josh.
Yeah, they're going back and forth.
Weird, I think. Lauren has told me all morning long that she thinks Georgia should have still been in because they've been undefeated all season long and they lose a 3-point game in a championship game. And I mean, that's why I say I think Georgia actually has a beef too, but I don't think they have a beef bigger than FSU. But like I said, I think that Georgia is better than Texas. I don't see how you put Texas above Georgia, even if they did win the Big 12 championship. I don't see how you put Texas above FSU. I don't see how, I think they're the ones that's got the question, if you ask me. But here's what I'm happy about. Like I said, I'm happy 12-team playoff next year. And these conference champions and 0 and 1-loss teams and all this that really should matter in college football will all be there. And if there's a couple of 9-3 teams at the bottom that we got to pick one to get in, okay, I'm cool with that. The only way that I'm ever going to say that it should be a team, really, is if it's Kentucky. And I doubt that ever happen. But if it does, and we're sitting at 11, 12, 13, and we have a legitimate beef, then I'll be pulling for Kentucky. And speaking of Kentucky, Josh says that Kentucky got into the Gator Bowl. So he says, I think that was a little bit of a shocker. The reason why that happened, from what I was heard this morning, is that when FSU got left out, that actually bumped the SEC up because one of the teams was in the playoff. So that bumped the SEC up. And when it did, it bumped Kentucky up into the Gator Bowl. And it actually had to do with FSU getting left out and Alabama being in. So let me run through. I don't know if all the bowls have. Trying to see if there is a story out. I know that FSU and Georgia are set for the Liberty Bowl.
Okay, here we go. Hey, just to let you know, this is how they will decide the 12-team playoff next year. Okay. The field of 12 teams will be comprised of 6 conference champions ranked highest by the selection committee. That's the reason why you have a Liberty or a SMU or anything like that. Okay. Because they're talking, and it would be SMU over Liberty, right? Because Liberty's in the CSA, isn't that right? Currently, right?
Well, Liberty's undefeated, and SMU's got 2 losses. So
no, conference champions. Conference champions. It's 6
but they're
conference
both
champions.
conference champions.
6 conference champions, which means they said will be comprised of the 6 conference champions. So they are talking about the AAC.
So you don't think the other? I think it's the one out of the
6.
group of 5 that is the highest ranked.
They talked
not just the AAC.
Okay, I'm reading the college football playoff website. Do you want me to keep going on this? It says the field of 12 will be comprised of the 6 conference champions ranked the highest by the selection committee. No minimum ranking requirement. Plus the 6 highest ranked other teams. The ranking of the teams will continue to be done by the selection committee, whose size, composition, method of selection will remain substantially unchanged from the current arrangement. The 4 highest ranked conference champions will be seeded 1 through 4, and each will receive the first round bye. The other 8 teams will play first round with the highest seeds hosting the lower seeds either on campus or at other sites designated by the higher seeded institution. So it does not talk about highest ranked group of 5. Okay. So they are calling for a power 6. So it will be the SEC, ACC. So here's the deal too. Pac-12 is no longer a part of it. So I don't know who the others who's going to be dealing with this, because it's the
I don't know.
SEC, right? ACC, Big 12, Big 10. So that's 4, right? And then I imagine ACC or the AAC is 5. And then the question is who the 6th conference champion comes from? What conference are they pulling from? Because it isn't the Pac-12, because the Pac-12 only has 2 teams right now and will not exist now. Just doesn't exist now that the season's over.
Hold that thought. Though. Everything that I have heard this season about that is this. That there is actually a 2 or 3 year leeway in that. And if they are under 8 teams, they still get to remain that for like 2 or 3 years to give them a chance to get back to the 8 before they actually.
So you're saying that a 2-team conference
From what I have heard, yes.
So we're talking about Washington State and Oregon State. All they got to do is just provide whoever wins the game between them, and they're in. It's a one game gets them in.
According to what I have seen, John, they that whatever that's called, the power that they have for the playoff spot.
That is some terrible. They got to restructure
They can't just
this.
jerk it from them right off the bat. From what I have,
They've got to restructure where they pulled this team from. It's the only thing I can tell you.
Okay, real quick, guys. Myrtle Beach Bowl, December 16th is Georgia Southern versus Ohio. Celebration Bowl is Florida A&M versus Howard University. New Orleans Bowl is Jacksonville State versus Louisiana. The Cure Bowl is Miami of Ohio versus App State. New Mexico Bowl is Fresno State versus New Mexico State. The LA Bowl is UCLA versus Boise State. Independence Bowl is Texas Tech versus Cal. Bahamas Bowl is Western Kentucky versus Old Dominion. Frisco Bowl, Marshall, UTSA. Boca Raton Bowl is USF, and they haven't determined that one yet. There's a few of them that haven't been. Armed Forces Bowl is Air Force and James Madison. The Idaho Potato Bowl is Georgia State, Utah State. Eastern Michigan, South Alabama is the 68 Ventures Bowl. I don't even know what some of these are. That's crazy. I don't even know what some of these bowls are. Texas Bowl is Oklahoma State versus Texas A&M. Holiday Bowl is Louisville versus Southern Cal, USC. The Pop-Tarts Bowl is NC State versus Kansas State. Alamo Bowl is Oklahoma versus Arizona. Gator Bowl is Clemson versus Kentucky in the Gator Bowl. Some of the opponents aren't named. Oregon State's in the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl. Liberty Bowl, Memphis. Cotton Bowl. These are the New Year's Six bowls. Cotton Bowl is Ohio State versus Missouri. The Peach Bowl is Penn State versus Ole Miss. Florida State versus Georgia. Fiesta Bowl is Oregon versus Liberty. Citrus Bowl is Iowa versus Tennessee. The Rilla Quest Bowl is LSU versus Wisconsin.
Oh, good. It's not Auburn. I was just, man.
Yep, that one's LSU versus Wisconsin. They haven't named the Music City. A few of these haven't been named yet. A few of the bowls. So that's the ones that I've seen that has been named so far. They're not done filling all the spots for the bowls yet. So if you didn't hear your team and they're supposed to get a bowl, it's not because they didn't get one. It's because they haven't filled them all out yet. So
yeah, I think Auburn's either the music. I think Auburn was possibly going to be slated for the Music City Bowl. What we didn't want was to play against Ohio State, Wisconsin, which is a team that apparently Auburn has always been pitted against when having to have a SEC versus Big Ten. So
Yeah.
but anyway, yeah. But
All right, guys, we're
yeah.
going to wrap this up for today. We appreciate you. We appreciate you being on with us. We will have some debate topics that might have to do with some of this stuff on Tuesday on our next show, the Big Fuss Show on Tuesday night at 8:00. So I'll try to have some topics that might have something to do with some of this, about some of these teams and everything. I do want to, before I close out the show, I do want to say that Houston hired Tulane's coach, Willie Fritz, today and announced it today that they hired won the bowl, New Year's Six Bowl last year against USC. I forgot which one it was, and was in the Sun Belt Championship yesterday. Got beat by SMU, but was in the not Sun Belt, the AAC Championship yesterday, and got beat by SMU. So they hired Willie Fritz. Houston did. So just a little bit of news there as I close out the show. John, you got anything else?
Not at the moment. No. Great show.
Right, then. Well, we're
here. Brought to you by Home Field
Apparel. Yeah. Use CSCast. It should be rolling across the screen, into the screen there, for a 15% discount. Hurry, and you might get it in before Christmas, but you have to hurry.
Correct.
Yeah. All right, guys.